Okay, we're back, and we have with us Richard Montano from is it Live Capital, LIV Capital? How do we say that?
Yeah, Live Capital Group.
Live Capital Group. Great. Well, you have from talking to you before the show, you have quite a background. Very analytical guy. Tell us a little bit about you, and then let's talk about your business.
Oh, yeah, great. Well, born and raised San Diego, so a native here. I actually grew up loving math and science, so I jumped right into the technology world. Through college, I got a degree in aerospace engineering, a physics degree, and became an aerospace engineer, as I always wanted to be.
Wow.
So very, very analytical, and I still love it. I love the puzzles, if you will.
Great. Great.
You just decided you didn't want to go up into space and deal with the negative G forces. Is that what it was?
Right.
Yeah, decided you didn't want to leave San Diego, right?
I want to stay on the ground.
Right.
Yeah. So how did you get into LIV Capital or Live Capital?
Well, speaking of staying on the ground, growing up, my father always told me there's no more real investment than real estate. And it's something that we just talked about all the time. And, my father was in the military, and he was a fireman after leaving the military, and he bought real estate. And so that's how he was able to provide for me and, my mom. And so it was always something that I knew was important. But as I was in engineering, it became a hobby that I would do on the side. Being 20-something years old, right out of college, making a pretty good paycheck, I was able to go out and do some dabbling in real estate here in San Diego.
Most 20-something-year-olds choose surfing, maybe. Then maybe they might decide to do an at-home brewery as a hobby. It's not usually real estate, right, guys? Y'all know what I'm talking about. You were in your 20s once, right? So I just think that's exciting that, while you were on, doing your aerospace engineering thing, that you were getting into real estate.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. So is it just San Diego based here, or are you also in other areas?
Only San Diego. I have a rule of thumb that if it's not within an hour's drive, it's not for me.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about, you do a special type of funding. It's called crowdfunding. Is that right?
That's true. So what we do, I should give you a little background if I may. When we started, and I say we, my wife and I, when we started doing these real estate projects on the side, we know that there's a significant importance in owning real estate for retirement, for creating passive income, etc. Just for us, that's what we knew. That was our plan. And as we were doing it, we were helping other people doing it. And so we've always believed that a life of service is a life with purpose. And so it was always something that we wanted to help others invest in real estate. What we realized, it was really we had a common story from a lot of our investors that they wanted to participate in some of these bigger deals, but they couldn't do it by themselves, including us. We were that same investor. And so what we did was we went out and grabbed a handful of people and put their money with our money. And then with my expertise and my wife's expertise, we went out and bought some real estate. We flipped some houses. We did some things like that. And we were extremely successful. And so what we realized was that we sort of tripped into this business model, as Urban said earlier. We tripped into this business model that we discovered all these people there were a lot more of these people like us. And so we said, well, let's do it more. And then as this business grew, we decided to step out of our full-time jobs and focus on what we actually got more meaning out of.
Well, tell me about what type of projects you do, because, I look around San Diego and I think what's left to be developed? There's just, that's why I was asking if it was strictly San Diego. Mm-hmm. But from a developer's eye, what opportunities are there here? And tell me about some types of projects you've done.
Okay, so it all depends on time, right? Right now, there's a lot of people out there who want to flip houses. There's all those shows on HGTV. Mm-hmm. You can do it. Everybody can do it. There's a commercial on the radio right now that's about learning how to flip homes. But everyone is out there trying to do that. In the last 4 years, we've done a tremendous amount of flipping. We were able to go out and buy a lot of homes. But those days have kind of come to an end. And so now what we focus on is, basically real estate opportunities. So now we're looking at other things that like development opportunities, buying land, building homes.
So what you're telling us is that, the days of, we came out of the 2008, all the market fell apart, and anybody could go out and get a steal of a deal on a short sale or a foreclosure. Those days are gone. How do you find property today to work with?
So we actually have a lot of really great relationships. Being born and raised here in real estate for so long, we've created a lot of really good fundamental relationships. We also have a lot of agents and affiliates that work with us that are able to go out and help us find these opportunities. And really, the opportunities right now that we're finding are land projects. So we're buying pieces of dirt in San Diego, which there's not much left,
Right.
Inside inner city. But we're finding these small properties and we're building. And right now we have 3 projects going where we're building homes in the middle of San Diego metro area.
Yeah, what comes to mind is some of the areas, and this may be still futuristic because San Diego is such a young city. I grew up in Philadelphia, the old city, and this one's young. And, you go up into LA and there's some of these older neighborhoods that, beach towns that they built these little 1,200 square foot homes on, and they're tearing them down and putting mansions up because of the value of the property. Do you see any of that coming in San Diego?
Yeah, we're seeing some of that. Those opportunities are growing. They have what's called a small lot development package that's happening right now with the city of San Diego. And those are where you basically tear down one of those small houses, but they're actually building up 4 houses and putting them each on independent lots, which on the East Coast you see more of those row home type projects. So
I grew up in one of those.
Yeah, so that's what's kind of happening right now. We're seeing more of that. And we have a project in Golden Hill right now that we're building 33 row homes.
Wow. That's great. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts Andrea Kay and Urban Miaris, and our guest, Richard Montano from Live Capital Group. So, Richard, tell us a little bit if an investor wants to get involved with you, what happens?
So from start to finish, basically I go out and I try to find a project that I would buy. So when I find something that I would buy, I try to negotiate a good opportunity for myself. And then I structure that in a way where I can go back and grab a few investors, pull those investors with me as silent partners. And then I go and complete the transaction, I buy it, and then they're able to participate with me as part owners, typically through a limited liability company or a limited partnership.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So let's say for a project that's 33 row homes, I mean, that's a fantastic size project, by the way. When you were talking about row homes, I was thinking, 3, 4, 33. I mean, that's awesome. How many investors would you have, say, that would be involved in that typically that size of a project?
So that's a very large project. Our gross sales are going to be around $20 million. And so to build that, it's going to cost us around $10 million. So in that particular projects, we have to go out and find debt. We have to go get a loan for it, a construction loan. So we partnered with a great company, a local company, Presidio Capital, and they were able to provide us with the amount of construction debt we needed. And then for the remainder equity that we needed, which was about just less than $2 million, we went out and raised that with private investors. And we had about a dozen investors, including myself.
Potential investors out there should realize that if you've never invested before, the rules have changed a little bit on investors who can invest. Used to be only sophisticated investors that met certain qualifications. But now, check with your CPA and your attorneys and all. But you may qualify to be an investor on a lot of crowdfunding opportunities for you, where before it might have been, should I say, extremely risky or questionable. So it's sweeping the country right now, crowdfunding. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. That's really important for us. We've been doing we called it group investing. And now there's this online phenomena called crowdfunding. So they're both the same difference to us. We just do it more in person. We're going towards this online version as well, which is more of the crowdfunding.
Describe a little bit about that for our listeners. You and I have a pretty good picture of that, but let's talk to the listeners and tell them what does crowdfunding mean? What are you looking for in an investor?
So basically what I'm looking for in an investor, and for my particular industry, is I'm looking for somebody who wants to invest in real estate, who understands the importance of it, and then they basically have some amount of money that they can do. They have a full-time job, and they can't do what I do, which is a 40, 80-hour week, focusing on this real estate investing, but they want to participate in that. So they come to me and say, can I participate with you under your expertise, your knowledge, and your track record? Can you help me buy something or help me invest in something? So we do a little vetting process to make sure that they understand what they're getting involved in, and then basically we'll buy a property together. Mm-hmm. It's like you and I buying a property together.
So you might take in one investor and do one project, or you might take in a group of investors to do a project, depending on size and criteria.
Absolutely. And so it's really great because there's other forms of it that are similar. There's REITs out there, mm-hmm. which are typically single purpose investment funds where you put some money in and it's pulled with everybody else. and they focus on doing one particular type of investment. With our particular project or our investments, we focus on one building or one set of buildings or one piece of land. So when you walk into Golden Hill, you can go kick a wall and say, I own 1.265% of that project, and you can have a sense of ownership, and you get the benefit of the real estate investing.
Wow.
How exciting.
Yeah, it is.
That's a little, everybody can have a little piece of the American dream.
The whole financial world is changing, and people need to get aware of this. It's the future right now with what's changing.
Well, we're starting to run short on time, so Richard, tell our listeners how they get in touch with you if they want to find out more about Live Capital Group, if they want to invest. Tell us how we get in touch with you.
Well, the best way to get in touch with us is my direct cell phone is 619-246-3509. Call me anytime. I love to talk.
You brave man giving out your cell phone on the air. Good for you.
I love it. I love helping people.
Just another local businessman. This is great.
Yeah.
Creating
born
jobs,
and raised, and
creating jobs, and focusing on San Diego. What's how do we find your website?
And livecapital.com, LIV Capital, CAPITAL. .com, and all of my other contact information is there as well as some of our ongoing projects that we're looking at.
Great. Well, I appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
We've had a great show
Fun
today.
show.
Fun show. So you are listening to Close Up on San Diego Business, where we get up close and personal with homegrown San Diego businesses and the people that are working hard to make a difference in our community. This is financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be back next week with another great show. And all I can say is stay awesome, San Diego.